Welcome back to the table. Today I am joined here, of course, by David to talk about...
I'm right here.
A brand new game, Ultimate Railroads.
Ultimate Railroads. It's not exactly a brand new game.
Right. It's kind of a brand new game.
Part of it is a brand new game. Other parts of it are not so brand new games.
I know we're being a little cryptic. What this actually is, this is a collection of the game Russian Railroads and all of its expansions, including a brand new expansion and a variety of different modules that can be mixed and matched with all the different expansions.
So what we thought we would do here is, I've played the first Russian Railroads. It's been a while. Mm-hmm. I played German Railroads.
Yeah.
I own American Railroads, but have never played it. And then the one that comes in here is...
Asian Railroads,
Asian
which is brand
Railroads.
new. So
there's effectively 4 games here, and I'm going to have Ryan rank them, at least according to Ryan.
Yeah.
Ask him a few questions about them, why he ranks them, where he ranks them, what each brings to the table, if you will. And we're going to also just open up here and show you some of what's inside, because it is a big box.
Yeah, and I like this big box, and I think one of the great things you're going to see that right on top is that it has an insert. Now, it's maybe not the best insert. It's maybe a little flimsy, I've heard people say.
This is an insert?
Yeah, you put it together.
Oh boy.
You basically have to insert it yourself, but what it does is it tells you where to put everything, which is something, honestly, that I really like and respect when it comes to an insert.
That is nice, and this is pretty thin cardboard, but it looks like it's going to be folding in on itself.
Yeah, you're folding it over. You're literally creating the insert inside there. So
it is nice, and in this day and age where people have anything from game trays that are like all glorious to just an empty box.
This is a middle.
This is somewhere in the middle, and at least they provided it. And yeah, I have to agree. When they have nice illustrations for where everything goes, I'm a fan.
Because there's so much content in this one. And so it shows you in the front of the rule book, too, how to put that insert together.
Oh, look at that. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, everybody. We don't see this enough. I can't tell you the number of... I've played some, opened some big campaign boxes lately, some of which have had this, some of which haven't had instructions about where to put everything. It's very, very appreciated when it does.
Yeah, so what I like about this rule book is it front loads all the information about Russian Railroads, which is effectively teaching you how to play the game.
The basic game, yeah.
And then every expansion has its own section where it talks about everything that comes with that expansion, all the components and the rules for that particular expansion, with the original box cover shown there for what they released the expansion in. And then, of course, you've got Asian Railroads there at the end with all the information about Asian Railroads, including all the new components that come with that. And then at the end of the book, it even tells you all the different modules, and then even gives you a guide as to how to mix and match them.
Oh.
Like weird rules things that could come up with special combinations.
Oh, that is interesting.
So,
combinations and special cases.
Yeah, so basically it tells you if you're using these 2 modules together, this might happen. Be aware of this rules instance or
That's
whatever.
Cool. That sounds like the result of a lot of BGG forum
right,
rants.
A lot of play testing. Well, because one thing this is the first time this has all come together, and you're going to see a lot of the components, of course, here. There's going to be a ton of punch board, just because all of the different tiles for this game, there are overlay tiles and engineered tiles.
You're not kidding.
And component tiles. It's a ton of cardboard.
So there's even more punch board. I have to say, who's the illustrator on this? Do you happen to know?
I have no idea.
If we don't know, we're putting it on the bottom of the screen right now. I've always enjoyed the look and feel of this game for sure. Oh, and here are the player boards.
Yeah, here are the player boards. Of course, these are double-sided. So that
this is American right here.
This is American, but like I said, there should be double-sided. So you've got another one on the other side. So you've got like Asian and American and then German and their base game on their own sides. And of course, there's going to be multiple player boards for every player. This is brand new. This is a board that's used in Asian Railroads. This is the new engineering board.
Oh, that was my favorite part of Russian Railroads, is the engineering.
We'll talk about this in a second, but the fact that they make a shared engineering board where everybody builds their factories on the same board and other players can use the factories that you built, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of player boards here.
Yeah,
and
more
then,
player boards.
The main board always stay the same?
Yeah, you always use the same main board because really all the main board does is show you your actions. And there's a 2-player side of the board, and then your like 3- and 4-player side of the board there as well. So this board always stays the same. And that's something I like about all of these modules and these expansions. The basic actions that you're taking are always the same. You're using the same engineers, you're using the same track, you're doing the same basic things, but they're going to be done very differently. And of course, you've got the bottom layer of the insert already set. where it tells you where to put all these components.
Now, did they pre-build this,
cards.
or did you build this?
This is pre-built. I haven't. This is the first time we opened this.
Oh, interesting.
This is all brand new. So, yeah, one aspect of it was pre-built.
Oh, well, see, that works pretty well. If the rest of it is that stable, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, and then you stack the other one. You fill that up, and then you stack the other one on top of it, and then you put all the boards on top, and then you're good to go. So everything has a place, which is something that I really appreciate. So you've got all your different colored meeples, you've got all your different colored track, and you've got your different carts for all the different expansions, a bunch of different tokens. So let's talk about what's actually included here.
Yeah, well, give it. I'm going to challenge you.
Yeah.
Give us the 30 seconds
30
or less.
minutes.
No, not 30 minutes. Definitely not 30 minutes.
30 minutes or less?
Give me the 30-second pitch on what does Russian Railroads do.
So the reason that Russian Railroads is so great, this is a solid worker placement game. Hand me one of the Russian Railroads player boards right there. Yeah, just any of them. It doesn't matter if it's, I guess, which one it is. The key thing about this game and what's so unique about it is that you're constantly moving your trains down these tracks, and you're building this track by putting out these different pieces. And as your train gets to a certain spot, as your track gets to a certain spot, you start unlocking these bonuses. And I know we've talked about this on the channel before, but you love that feeling of hitting a bonus spot, getting a bonus tile, gives you another thing, gives you another bonus. You can really chain together some very cool turns. And what's really great about this game is that these tracks score you points, and you score points every single round. And as you upgrade your track, as you lay out more track, it becomes, the scoring just gets multiplied and multiplied, to the point where the first round you're maybe scoring 7 points, and the last round you're scoring 200.
And that's no joke.
And that's, no, that's...
We've talked about this on the channel
totally
before.
the way it goes.
If there's ever an example of a game that has ramped scoring, it's Russian Railroads.
Because everything you're doing is just adding on to it. You're never like resetting anything in this game. Like you're always expanding. You're always building and upgrading your track to the better levels, the better colors. You're always getting new bonus tiles, and there's a ton of in-game scoring you can collect. Yeah. There's a lot going on, but you saw the board. It's all done in this very simple, elegant, cutthroat worker placement style where you're gonna be every turn going, oh man, I wanted that spot. Every time you go to place your worker, you have a difficult decision of where to place it. And this is the two-player side here, which is very cutthroat. Yeah. Because you're blocking other players. Literally every space you go to block something.
It's got a lot of places blocked off already.
Well, it does. Yeah, it's a smaller pool for 2 players so that you can keep that feeling of constantly blocking other players.
So what did German was the first expansion. What did it add?
Yeah, so German, which I don't have right in front of me, German added branching tracks, which was super interesting. You actually had some tracks that would split and go in different directions. So when you were choosing where to go, you had to actually make that choice. So you actually have places where you're choosing different track layouts. You're placing tiles on this board to change your route. So your route is different than anyone else's. And they have this middle track here branches in 2 different directions, which was very unique coming from Russian Railroads. And it also added the coal module, which has been broken out and pulled into its own actual module that can be used with any of the different expansions, where you can gather and spend coal to do a variety of things.
And a lot of the modules work that way, right?
Yeah, a lot of the modules, well, all the modules that they've pulled out can be used with any of the expansions. Originally, coal was part of German, but you don't even have to use it. You can choose not to use it together. I think German Railroads is solid, and a lot of people loved it just because it changed up that puzzle. Yeah. It made this board so drastically different. Let's talk about USA. That was the next one.
Yeah, American, that's this one, with the American flag.
With the American flag.
This one added like a stock exchange.
So it did. It added a stock market where you're actually like having some stock speculation, which was a hit. I'll be honest, it was hit or miss. In fact, I'll just say this is probably my lowest ranked module or expansion.
It came in like a bag too.
Yeah, it was not a, it's not a ton. There's new boards, and then you had that stock market board. It's my least favorite because of that stock market speculation. But let's talk about what's brand new, and this has now become, honestly, I think my favorite module, which is Asian Railroads. Asian Railroads does a ton of stuff different. One thing it does is, again, it lets you upgrade your track so you can get better versions of the track. But also, like I briefly mentioned, your engineering is now being done on this shared board. And this has changed the game so much. And this shared board for engineering is a ton of fun because you're able to put out these little like mine carts here, and you can use some of these factories multiple times. When you cover a factory, you get to trigger that factory. When you move your engineering piece through a factory, you get to trigger that factory. And if you have one of your carts there and you activate your cart, you get to activate that factory. So you can come into some real cool combos with this board, some crazy combos where you can place an engineering tile over one of these, cover it, get the bonuses of that tile, which maybe let you take another engineering token, place that engineering factory on another factory, get bonuses, and then if you're like about to move on to that factory, you could even move on to it and trigger it again. So this is combo-tastic, this engineering board. And
now, does it bring more interaction at all to the game?
Well, it definitely brings more interaction because you can't just count on your own factory being there because players can cover up factories.
Right.
So if you had a strategy or you had a place you were planning on hitting multiple times, they could place it. Now, there are some rules. You can't cover one until everyone else has been covered. Like you have to do a full layer before, you can't just stack on one. So there's a little bit of ability to predict what's going to be there. But yeah, this is a ton of player interaction here because you can see where players are going. And if you use a player's factory where they have a token, they can stand that token back up. So there's a lot of interaction, more so than you have just blocking with players. The game already has a lot of interaction in the worker placement and blocking players, but this is huge. So you've got Asian is probably number one for me. This module just came out with Ultimate Railroads. I've gotten to play it a couple times now. Your points are way higher with Asian because of all of the different combos.
Even higher?
Even high, like there's so many more ways to score points. There's so much you can do with this board that just makes your games better.
So we've started the ranking. He didn't tell me anything before we started this. In fact, what little we talked about it, he didn't. He wasn't sure that he was going to rank Asian first, but
I think
it's number
Asian's
one.
Number one. I think it's just
Because it's new.
Not just because it's new, but because it's so fun. That feeling of making those combos is even stronger, and that's what I love about Russian and German. Now with those two, it's honestly tough. I go back and forth. German, I think, is traditionally like the better game. It has more options. There's more ways to do what you're trying to do. You have those new boards that come down in German. German is great. Russian has a special place in my heart, though, just for being the original.
From a nostalgic standpoint.
From a nostalgic standpoint, being the one that I've played the most.
And that's reasonable. That's reasonable. But so, Asian first.
Yeah,
we should have done this in reverse order.
Well, American is my least favorite, if I'm being honest. So that's
American
easy.
On the other end, and then in the middle. So number one, Asian.
Asian.
Number two.
I'm gonna say Russian.
Russian.
Even though I think German might be on paper the better expansion.
It got the nostalgia points.
And then German.
Then German.
And then American.
And then American. Would you say, if you had to recommend people play this game multiple times, would you say American's worth trying?
Oh, for sure. I mean, they're all worth playing.
Yeah.
And even now, even though I say American's the last, every once in a while you're like, let's throw American up there. Like we've played Asian and Russian a bunch of times. We haven't played American in a while. And the fact that you're getting all of those maps, all of these expansions in this box, it's really a great value. Especially because Russian Railroads is so hard to find.
It has been. I mean, this Ultimate Railroads has been sort of announced, for a couple years?
Well, it came out last year overseas, but it just now made its way to the U.S. So it's just now becoming available for U.S. buyers. So if you're watching this video right now and you're like, oh, this game sounds awesome, go buy it. This was one of my top 5 games of the or top 10 games of the year.
Yeah,
of all time.
If it falls out of your time in this hobby, like this is one of those games where people who are newer to the hobby might go, no, I've never tried Russian Railroads. This is absolutely considered one of the best worker placement games of all time.
Absolutely. And
like it really is amazing. And like we said, that ramping scoring, when you first start playing and you, in the first round, literally score like 6 or 7 points and you're like, this is going to be, is this what this game's going to be? Like I'm going to score, what, 28 points in the end? It is insane. You are, no joke, scoring 300 points in the last round.
Well, and it's so satisfying counting up all your points. You're like, I got 30 points from this track, 40 points from this track. Oh, these bonus tiles got me another 40 points. Like, you're just adding it all up, and you're like, yeah, I scored 200 points that round. Like, oh my gosh, it's such a cool feeling to get there. And there's so many different paths to victory. I think Russian Railroads, the biggest complaint is that the engineering track is just more powerful than a lot of the other
Yes.
paths to victory. That is not true with any of the expansions. And also, when you add in some of the modules, it changes it up as well. Which, by the way, there are 4 different modules that come with this. There's the coal module. There's another like specialized train module that gives you a new worker spot. That's like a train engine that has a bunch of bonus tiles. You could just go there to take bonus tiles. It speeds the game up. You can get a ton of cool rewards, but also the game is 1 round shorter if you use it.
Oh.
Because it gives you so many more ways to score points. And then you have a bunch of new special ideas cards that can be used with the original special idea bonus cards. And then lastly, there's a new set of engineers. And these engineers are all numbered. So when you're going to play, you can choose which version of each numbered engineer you want. So you can use the new set, the old set, or you can kind of mix them up to have different engineers in every game. And engineers are a rotating worker placement spot that's going to be on the board. And you can buy them and have private worker placement spots. So having different engineers or unique engineers every game is very cool.
Yeah, I have to say, talking about this is making me want to play it again because it's been a while. I have the original, as evidenced by this old box right here. I have German and American stuffed into that box. You won't have to stuff things as much into this one. And I have to say, if ever they've used the word ultimate with a board game, I'd say this fits.
This does fit. I mean, this is definitely like, I wouldn't say collector's edition level. I think they could, again, my biggest criticism is they could have gone farther with the game trays.
Yeah, they didn't go,
whatever.
This is not a deluxified version. This is just a collection, if you will.
But compared to like the Hansa Teutonica Ultimate Edition, which came, this is huge steps above that with the insert and with all the different new modules and things like that.
Plus, it is one of the most well-respected games, worker placement games of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Russian Railroads is a 10 out of 10 game for me. I mean, it's one of my favorite games of all time, as evidenced by our top 50 if you watch that. So I can't recommend it enough. Go just get it. If you're a gamer,
try it at least.
Try it at least. Out of the 4 different expansions, you'll probably love them in a different order than I do, which is totally fine. American even has its big fans. So.
I might have to go pick up a copy now myself and replace this one.
Yeah, it's so much more fun. So yeah, that's kind of an overview of Ultimate Railroads, everything that comes with it, what all the different expansions do. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. We will be there to answer them and talk more about this game. And we'll see, maybe Asian Railroads will pop up on the channel in the future. We'll see.
Maybe. And until next time, make sure everyone has fun at the table, no matter what game you're playing. And we'll see you then. Congratulations, you got to the end of one of our videos. Now, if you want more practice, just click on the video over here. It's another video. You might not have seen it yet, so click on it. If you don't want to do that, at least click on the subscription button below. That always helps us. And if you want notifications, please ring that bell.